Hey guys, Mitko here from DN Models, and today we're going to unbox the newest model from Kinetic in 48 scale, the Hawker Siddeley T-Harrier. This is one long-awaited kit, both as a variant of the Harrier and in that particular scale. The kit includes T2, T2A, T2N, T4, T4N and T8 models, and it comes under kit number K48040. Kinetic's boxing is the well-known blue box with glossy appearance and posh looks. On the top of it, there is a beautiful drawing of the twin-seater looking almost like a photograph. There is the insignia of the countries which Harriers are included, plus information about the size of the completed model and the fact that there are 280 and more parts included in this kit. I know this will make many tank modelers smirk, but for 48 scale bird, it is pretty decent part number. On one of the sides of the box there are profiles of all the possible paint options included. Unfortunately, this is the only colored part regarding those, but I will get back to that later in the review. Opening the box, everything inside is properly arranged and not overcrowded. Plastic bags protect all the sprues, with the minor issue that they are a bit too large for the sprues themselves to accommodate. A lot of material is wasted here. On the bottom there is a huge decal sheet, then the instruction leaflet and a tiny photo etch. So far so good. We have a black and white booklet with bad quality here. I am sorry that I have to be so negative, but this is awful. It does not belong to that kit. Instruction features simple and uninteresting build follow-up, lacking proper explanation, and that is far from what any decent instruction sheet should be. I won't bother you with all the steps, since they do not deserve any attention whatsoever. With Kinetic's Hornet, I hope that this won't happen again, but here it is. It is very simplistic, printed on a low-quality paper, and ages, no, eons behind what Mini Art, Edward or Mank offer us nowadays. Kinetic should be ashamed, but most importantly, the color schemes, which are black and white and lack color. That is ridiculous. You cannot paint and replicate a Harrier using this. It simply won't be enough. I won't even start on the missing numbers on the insignia here on the decal sheet. Just look at this one here. It is absolute garbage and insulting for any decent modeler. There is no excuse for that. Kinetic, if anybody of your team is listening, hear this. You should put a QR code or a link where people can download and print their own instruction with decent quality, especially the color schemes. People say that the system is measured by its weakest link. In this case, if that is a definition of your kit, trust me, nobody would buy it. Luckily for you, it is not like that in modeling. But with such weak link as this, your kit loses its value. You should look for and find some solution to this. It might be cost effective for you, Kinetic, but for us the modelers, it is rather disappointing. I have no idea where to start with this sheet. The paper quality, or the print quality, or the way things are represented. Everything is beyond mediocre. For comparison, Super-Etendard from Kinetic shows again black and white sheets, but at least the quality of the paper itself and the renders of the color schemes were more professionally executed there. Here, everything seems like it was done by a kid in 4th grade, just discovered Microsoft Paint software and exercising its talents. This kit is not cheap, and this is a major letdown. Tamiya too have black and white instructions, but this is incomparable in quality. Very low grade and a major disappointment for me, especially for this important subject as a twin-seater Harrier. Let's get on with the plastic. After all, this is what we are here for. The first one we're going to take a look at holds the two halves of the fuselage, air intake duct, antennas, cockpit parts and more. Antennae with the kit are very pleasant for the eye. They are thin and clearly molded. That goes for almost every detail on that sprue. There are many small details and all of them seems to be done without compromises. The intake duct too is interestingly engineered, being a single piece part, eliminating the need of filling any seams and dealing with the subsequent problems regarding that. On the fuselage half, you can note that there are superb panel lines engraved. They are recessed and with proper size and depth. There are rivets here and there, but Kinetic missed the opportunity to deal with that, providing as many rivets as possible. Intakes are with openings for the doors for the additional air. That way you can create even better realism depending on what position you want your airplane to be once built. Next sprues are separate but could have been made into one piece easily. There are horizontal stabilizers with perfect riveting here. Good looking dashboards and surprisingly nice cockpit elements. On that sprue, there are seat parts which impress and I believe eliminate the need of any aftermarket set, especially with the fact that the seat belts are included with a photo-etch set provided in the kit. The upper and the lower parts of the wing shows some good looking panel lines, but unfortunately same riveting inconsistency. At some points there are many, but generally around the bigger panel lines they are missing. If you have experience you'll cope with that with your trusty riveter, but that is besides the point here. In other Kinetic kits that isn't an issue and I have no clue why here they made it such. Another two sprues that can be easily combined into one. They most likely are like that because of the other versions available and upcoming. Here another set of antennas shows precision and nice quality. You don't need to thin those down as many modelers do. That is because if you thin those, many other elements will be still too thick to be in scale. That is why those parts are satisfactory overall. Another decently made details are those of the struts. Maybe a few cables of scratch materials might be needed, but other than that those seems to be good looking and sturdy enough. I know that there are aftermarket sets for those too, especially popular being the small side wheels located on the wings. But I think those here will suffice at least 90% of the mullers. And on the second sprue we have the wheels, which do require aftermarket substitute, but alongside with them the nozzles too, which besides the flash that they show are quite nice. Overall plastic quality of Kinetic is pretty good. That is why flash and minor production issues like that do not deserve such attention. Then two sprues with armament follows. About that I can tell you only this. Trainers are rarely used for combat missions, even training combat missions. Mostly you can catch twin-seaters fly with additional fuel. That is a learning platform and it is used as such. It is nice to have those sprues though. Tanks can be used, maybe a pair of missiles too, but nothing more. I think nobody will complain from the fact that this is added to the kit. Recessed panel lines and decent riveting all over here again, so it is pretty okay. Then the sprue that follows holds another set of wings, some unguided rockets, and additional elements. Wings looks the same as the previous ones. A bit thick vortex generators, and there are rivets on the back of the aircraft, but over the wing halves there are not many, and on the bottom part of them they are missing completely. I would have accepted that if used for a single-seater where you can cover the lack of detail with weapons load. Here, some work will be needed. But it is fine. Unguided rockets are a good addition too, since you can use ground attack training mission with that Harrier, but seeing it with the missiles that we saw on the previous Sprues is highly unlikely. Of course, those can be substituted with aftermarket, which will completely change the looks and definitely will show better detail, but I plan to leave my Harrier without any weapons whatsoever. Last sprue that we'll take a look at holds the vertical stabilizers and the cockpit parts. There are 3 options for defense. All depends on the version, of course. Again, not too many rivets here. I begin to think that this is a strategy from Kinetic. I don't know. I prefer to have them instead of dealing with the riveter and waste a couple of days going all over the aircraft. Seats is something that I really like here though. The detail on those is close to perfect in my opinion. That is important considering the enormous glass parts of the twin-seater Harrier. All over the sprues, a good molding, fine details and predominantly good quality. Only a few cables are needed here and there, nothing more. The cockpit top parts are really nice too. In my opinion, they are good enough and can be used without a thought about a resin exchange. Moldings look clear, and if the fit is okay, I think not much more is required nor expected from this kit. My grade for the gray plastic is 8.5 out of 10. One of the most important parts of this particular version of the Harrier is the canopy. It is very bulgy and defines the shape of the airplane. The clear sprues are 2, the smaller one is being the less important here due to the limited number of parts and the fact that they can be exchanged with thinner aftermarket or scratch-built ones. The larger sprue offers pieces of the canopy without the option for a single-piece one. Latter one can be used with these in case you want to do a Harrier in flight. But this is not a problem. There are imitations of the explosive cord used to weaken the structure when ejection takes place. I managed to rub down parts of these, but they are very good addition overall. The clear parts in general are good, and even though not a benchmark in the scale, they do provide decent appearance. Only minor bends of the light and image are noticeable when looking through them. But again, overall, it is very good here. Photo-etch sheet is very small. It is here mostly to satisfy the marketing trick of having one in the set. It is thin and flexible, and as with other photo-etch elements from Kinetic, easy to work with. I hope that aftermarket companies will show us more about the twin-seater here, since this isn't enough. A lot more can be added over the exterior parts as well as additional interior elements. And as far as I'm informed, Edward are already in the works of such addition. The decals, on the other hand, are superb. They are made by Cartograf and designed by Crossdelta. They are both heavy hitters on the market, Cartograf being the best in business. We have decent amount of nice technical markings, which as you can see look very nice in color. They are not too bright nor too pale. I didn't expect it to see that many on a Harrier, but it was apparently so. The decal film is very thin as expected from a company like Cartograf. I can hardly imagine that there will be any troubles whatsoever with those decals. Covering the aircraft won't happen overnight though. In addition to the small ones, there are bigger decals with letters for Marines, Spanish Armada, and so on. These include specific plane numbers and tail codes, but as you can see, some variations can be made with what is available on that sheet. The information resources that you're going to use will be your only limit in that case. The insignia is represented by bigger pieces here, mostly roundels. They are for the 10 options included, and one of the most esoteric is the tie lettering, which is something rare. I would prefer to stay away from those, especially for the glossy black variant, and instead substitute them for masks. Roundels are always better when masked off and painted rather than decaled. But everything is pretty great regarding the decal sheet. Again, good job from Kinetic. As conclusion, the kit is far from perfect, but I like it. It sits somewhere in the middle. It is not Revell quality, but it is not Zukimura either. Ladder 1 gave us 48 scale Phantom, which is a benchmark in 48 scale jet modeling. However, Kinetic did a pretty good job overall with their twin-seater Harrier. Besides the awful instruction sheet and the absolutely ridiculous color schemes, everything else seems fine. There are some areas lacking riveting, but nothing that the riveting tool and few days of your time won't fix. Also, plastic has some arguable texture which can be solved with a decent primer, so in this case also the solution is pretty clear. In general, a very nice addition to the Harrier family with a super important member of it. I can only hope for GR1, GR3 and AV8A in the near future. Again, recommended kit and a mandatory one for Harrier lovers. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review useful. If you did, comment down below and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.